Hello and welcome everyone into prior week's trading recap. In this video, I'll be going over all the trades that I took last week, and what was my thesis behind it. Where I entered and where I exited the trade, and why I took it, or let's say even if I took my profits and how did I set my take profit levels, and all that stuff. So let's get right into it without wasting any time. Again, as you guys knew, the last week was fully packed with a lot of data right off the bat. We have CPI, we have FMC, so we started off pretty slow, and then we really picked up the pace with the really nice trades in the second half of the week. So the first trade that I took, or I wouldn't say I took, this is just the trade I was managing from a prior week. So these are the Q sports. This is where we left the prior week trading recap. So is this is where I entered the puts on Friday last week. A week before that, and then this week we entered, and then our puts went 33%. I decided to hold one third of the size over the weekend because we had a lot of time till June 23rd. So we have like 10-12 days. So I decided to swing it over the weekend because we were already in nice profit. I decided, and then we got the gap up. I was still, I was still convinced that we would move higher. So I held a little bit for longer, only because I had a lot of time on the contract, right? And then I was expecting this double top to play out, and prices also, forming this kind of bear flag too early, something like this. And then it was rejection of this golden zone. So, and then but it just didn't play out, right? And it did not play out. And then later in the day, around 11:30, price started to forming this rising wedge. I was like, there are chances that price can reject off this level here, because we saw a nice dump of this level before, and then price went to this supply, forming it. So I added small size again, using profits in this range. But right after, and in like, you see, let's see, I added at 10:36 in 10 minutes. Right after, price man broke out of this level, I quickly got out of my position minus 15%. And then then I basically did not hope for price to come back down, or for a fake out or nothing. As long as my levels invalidated, I'm out of a trade. You see, I wanted to go long on Monday, but only if we got a retest of this level and then moved higher. But we never got the retest, so I didn't never really went long on Qs. So I just sat on the sidelines and watched this whole price unfolded, because it was it was FMC and CPI data a day after. So I didn't really want to take any trades. So, and the premiums are pretty taxed too on these days. And then moving to the next one is the SPY trade that I took a day after. The reason for this one, was pretty simple. Price gapped up, started moving higher, and then I was actually looking for a short entry on the rejection. I was looking overnight futures on ES. If we're looking at ES, ES was forming this, nice divergence on the 50-minute time frame right here. You see, and then price broke out this prior highs. You won't see this in the SPY, because just before market open. So this was the range that ES formed, and that was the range that ES formed. And then if bulls wanted to continue, the price should have closed above this level and then retest this level, and then they should have moved higher, something like this. But that never happened. Price closed below this level, retested it, and then on SPY I was watching this 5 minute. This was a bearish candle too on 5 minute, and then I got an entry on that retest of this 5 minute bearish candle, or you would say this prior highs retest, fake out, and my stop loss was pretty clear. If the 50-minute candle closes above this level, then I'm going to be out. So the risk was very minimal on these ones. So I bought some time on the contracts, and then we saw a little bit of chop on intraday price action, and then price finally dumped, hit my target low of the day, and then bounced right off of it. And then basically the whole day or for two, price just stayed in this in this whole range here. So we got quick 30% on our contracts and then moved on. So that was a spy trade. Again, a quick breakout and fake out retest, right? So the next trade that was actually a swing that I took overnight on TSM. The reasoning, I think it was on the daily chart. Yes, it was the daily chart, guys, because price. If we look on the daily chart on on June 30th, near the close, I decided to take swing because the daily magnets were far away from price, and then we got this bearish engulfing looking candle at the highs, and then looking at the daily, we got also this daily divergence, one in here, one in here, so we got double divergence. So there was high chances that we would see a dump even to back to the mean, to the 5 or 8 magnet, and that's what happened. Price dumped straight to this magnet or opened near the magnets, and then they bought it back up right here. We got puts, and then right price went into my level. This is a level I was watching, and then I didn't get quite 105, but something near in the zone, and then price bounced off it. We got quick 60% on our swing overnight, in 5 minutes. Not bad, right? And then the reason for it, if I go into smaller time frame, the reasoning was not just the daily candle. It was also that price closed below the prior lows here. That was the prior day lows, and the price was struggling, never closed below this one, and then we got the bounce. But right when we were closing, price closed below this one, and we got an entry on that retest. As this candle closed below, I got my entry on that retest, and my stop loss was pretty clear on this one. If the candle closes above this prior highs, then I was gonna get stopped out of the trade, because price starting making lower highs, lower lows. If any if it's starting making new highs, something like this, higher lows, higher highs, then I'll be out of the trade. But clearly that did not happen, and then we banked 60% on our overnight swing on TSM. So the next trade that I took, it was on Tesla. It was on the day of FOMC, so it was just really hit and miss on FMC day, but the setup was there on Tesla, so I decided to pull the trigger on it before the FOMC, because they were propping it up, this whole FOMC, this whole month. So there were chances that we would see a quick flush on FMC news, and then pump back up, and that's what exactly happened. And the price was bear flagging, um, into the golden zone. It rejected. This is a golden zone from this prior swing highs to this swing lows, and then when price touched my golden zone, somewhere around here 10 minutes before FOMC, I decided to take puts on Tesla with my stop loss at 259.64. And then FOMC news came out, and then the expected dump, and then our Tesla puts printed more than 100% in just 10 minutes. So this was my target. So this is where I exit the trade right here, in not in this candle, but I exited in this candle. It was a little bit less than 150%. The reason for me to exit this trade on this level was the first, this level held, and now we got the trapped layered bears on this lows, and then we got the fake out, and we got the retest of this level. On that retest, I exited my full position, and then price flipped higher. So if you wanted to go long, you would go watch the video on how to play the fake outs like a pro. I explained it really well in an hour long video, how you can only play fake outs with the very low risk trades, with a very high reward. So watch that, fake out retest, and these are one of the best setups um, in the markets to can play anytime. And the next trade was NIO. So NIO, yeah, you guys, NIO, I was watching NIO, for the for a week almost, and then when we finally got a breakout of this weekly range here, that's the weekly range, right? That's the weekly range. Uh, we got the breakout of the weekly range, and then I was like, there are high chances, because daily broke out of that level. right here. Daily broke out and retested it. So I was expecting continuation on NIO, and that was the only supply zone I saw on NIO right here. This was one supply zone I was watching, and this was the prior highs. I was watching as to take profit levels. So next day, when price broke out the prior day highs, right here, we got this range, and then price broke out of the prior day highs, and then I wanted to go long on NIO. And then the setup was pretty simple. We got the breakout on high volume and low volume. These are the low volume pullbacks right here. Low volume pullbacks. I got my entry right here, somewhere around here. And then our contracts were down, I think minus 15 or 10% on that pullback, but I did not sell. There was two reasons that I did not sell. The first one was price was holding the magnets, even though price was making these bearish candles. So but price was still above the magnets, and price was still above the prior swing high. So that gave me a conviction to hold on to that trade. And then the second was this volume. There's a low volume pullbacks right here. That means there are not enough sellers in NIO, which can bring the price down. So I held on to it, and then we saw the instant rip on it. Our cons went 150% right here, and then I scaled out most of my contracts in this supply zone that I showed you guys earlier on the daily chart. And then I kept my runners for overnight swing. And then right at open 621, cons went 300%. I instantly sold on this price because price is in daily supply, and then it started forming this bearish divergence too. So there were a high chances that we would reject it, fake out, retest it, and then dump it back down. So 300% on NIO. I held the NIO. The reason price is holding this magnet, so there was no reason for me to sell NIO at a cheaper prices when I knew there are chances that we can see new highs on NIO as long as the magnet is holding. So again, if you miss this trade, and then let's say you saw the fake out, and then you wanted to play the downside to so there are two setups, one in here, the prior highs at the fake out right here. Then there was a nice short setup to play. And another one was this range one right here. Price, this range fake out, closed below, retested this level again, and then dumped it downside. So that was another trade. If you took on Friday, that would have been easy, 200-300% right here on NIO. And Tesla, we took Tesla, talked about Tesla. Snap was another one, on Friday, which worked out. But I broke even, and there was a break even trade on Snap, because I took way uh, in the money contracts on Snap. The reason, again, fake out retest happened. I got my entry when price closed below the magnet, and we also got this magnet across in 5 minutes. So I expected dump, and the price dumped, held my level. I mean, this whole day I was expecting price to close below this level, 1045, so we can see a more downside on it, but 1045 held. And price finally broke out of this one, and then my I closed my rest of the position at a little bit of loss, I think minus 20 or 25%. I closed my rest of the position, and then but it did went and go 25% of that initial entry. Mm. And AMD, let's go, guys. AMD, this is a real one, because we killed AMD last week on every single part. And then I have a very solid reasoning for it. If I see this setup again, or if you see this setup again, don't feel pull the trigger, because very low risk, very low risk, high reward types of setup you would see. And when price is in a downtrend. So price clearly entered a downtrend when, if you're looking here, price was making this, higher highs, higher lows, clearly making higher highs, higher lows. And then once price finally, closed below, that's the daily close, that's price closed below on the intraday time frame. My bad, so that's not daily close, that's what daily close right here. When the intraday swing low broken, and then even also broke this prior lows, that means the sellers are in control. There are high chances we can see a sell on on any pops, as long as price stays below the prior swing highs. So I waited whole day. It was, I think, Wednesday after the FOMC, And the way I waited a whole day to enter a swing on AMD, and then right near the close, around I think 12:30. No, right here. Yes, somewhere around here. The reasoning was this golden zone from here to here, and then price tagged it. It couldn't close above this 127.50 level, so it was resisting this level. That became a good resistance on intraday level. So I decided to swing it a week out or 2 weeks out puts on AMD. I think 10 days outputs it is. So 10 days outputs on AMD, and then with a very tight stop loss. You see, I entered right here at 127.50 with the stop loss at 120. So only 50-cent risk on this one. So very low risk with a high reward with a target of this prior swing lows, and that's what we got. Right off the open, our contracts went, I think, 60-70%, and then I sold most of them on that drop. So I held the rest because prices under the magnets, and then we were in good profit, and then the AMD, we had a lot of time on our contract. So those are two reasons I held on to it. But later in the day, we are starting to get more bullish divergence into the support. So I decided to sell most of my position once saw this fake out here, right here. Price couldn't close below and closed above. That was my sign to sell. I sold me my remaining position, and then waited for another pop to come and then sell again. And then later that day, later that day, I sold this console, I think, 210, for 210, and then we got another bear flag. And this whole day price started calling this bear flag. Again, same exact setup, guys. Same exact setup formed again. Price from prior swing highs to prior swing lows, price tagged this golden zone and started rejecting, and then so I added puts right near the close with the I added the lotto because we had the Friday next day. So I didn't want to add full size on Friday. So I also alerted that if you guys are not comfortable playing zero dates, you guys can also add next week puts, which I also alerted at 23rd June 120 puts, the same ones that we closed this one at around 210. So added back cheap at 133 with the tight stops at prior highs 127.50, because the reason that was a prior swing highs. If buyers closes above this level again, that means bulls are in control, and then it's going to move higher, but it never closed above. So, and were put right on the open. They tried to push it a little bit up. So I was in load of puts, so I didn't really worry about it much. And then these puts weren't even down like 10%, so I held on to it. And then we got an instant rejection on 5 minute right here, and that was my sign to hold. And then price instantly broke after a couple minutes, under the magnets, and then instantly broke prior lows. So puts on, I think, 200-300% on these ones, and then we scored, I think, 50 or 70% on these next week puts. So what's next is that I was already in really good profits on this AMD trade, and then just held it because price under the magnets, there are high chances we would see a all day runner on the AMD puts, and that's what happened. Every single time price was touching this magnets, we got this retest. That was another entry. We could have got on AMD, but I missed this one. I didn't really care much, and we got another new lows after the retest. So, and then I'm holding these runners, and the next week at 100% and 400%. And while I was holding these two runners, I saw another trade by end of the day on AMD, which was a break and retest setup. So whole day price, not whole day, but for a couple of hours, from 8:30 to 11:30, so that's a 3 hours range, finally broke down on AMD right here, on some high volume right here. We saw some high volume ticks. So that was my sign that if I can get it on the retest, there is a chance that I can get another bagger on AMD by end of the day. We were pretty, it was only 1 hour to close, so I alerted AMD puts at 11 cents on that retest. We got a sniper entry on the retest, and this was a support I was watching, 119.90 price tag that, and then our puts went 140% in 10 minutes. So I was out of my trade, and I'm holding my next week's AMD puts, which are already up 100%. So let's see what next week brings. So my next game plan for AMD is same thing. I am watching these zones here. So as long as price stays below this level, or this is a good supply zone too. This is a good supply zone. As long as price stays below this level, as it goes in here, and then it started rejecting, then I'll add my first batch of puts in this range. And then if price starts to break higher, this is where I add my second ads. And then if price closes above this level, then I will move on from my short trade, right? So if, and then there's another scenario, if we break the prior lows, then it's gonna head back to this 117 zone, which is my target for AMD. And then we have this huge gap to fill, which is gonna get filled, sooner or later. So we will, uh, plan our trade accordingly. But that's a nice dump from the highs, and we nailed every single paw. Again, guys, that's it. That was it. I didn't take many trades, but we did hit, almost 100% win rate on our weekly trades. This was the only red trade that we had on the week. I think there's one another trade on SPY that was minus 15%. I don't remember, but we ended the week, with the more wins than losses. And then our losses were pretty quick. See, all of our wins were above 100%, and this is the only loss that we had, minus 15. There's another trade on SPY that was minus 15%. So our losses were pretty small, our winners were pretty big. So that's how you manage the risk. And again, that's all for me today, guys. Again, if you guys have any questions, you guys ask me in the chat, or can ask in the live, or DM me, however you feel comfortable. So that's it for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed today's session. So I'm gonna take a leave. I'll catch you guys tomorrow in the live trading. Have a good day and week ahead, everyone.